Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
To discuss in regular life, because so many things, intertwine with that job in so many different ways.
Very good. So
Yeah.
how does your job as a funeral worker?
Yeah.
I wish you were a funeral director. I hope you get bumped up to director soon because I
Well,
think you
one day,
deserve it.
one day, one day. I mean, I'm focusing more on
Fingers
I'm focusing more on improving my music career, and hopefully, if and when I start making some money off the music, a little more, like when I be able to perform a little more, then hopefully I'll be able to, quit the funeral home job. But for now, it's my
okay.
paycheck, my streamline of income.
I understand. Now, welcome to today's America. Just doing a reset, just in case you're joining us now. We are here with Saul Auerbach. Uh, he is a comedian. He is a funeral home worker, and he works with the deceased. So
Yeah.
the fact that you work with the no longer living, what
Mhm.
is that like?
Well, it's a pretty interesting job. Now, when I first did it, I was pretty, in 2008, I was pretty nonchalant about it. I was like, okay, I'm working with deceased, and people would ask me all these questions, like, "Aren't you scared to work with them?" I'm like, "No, I mean, I didn't know I was supposed to be." I mean, they can't really do anything to me, but it has had many effect on my lives. It lets me appreciate life a lot more. It lets me do things. It gives me the mindset to do things a lot more safer, because knowing that our time can come any given time. I try to avoid things like reckless driving. Because of that, I try to avoid drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. I'm trying to even eat healthier now. I've lost a lot of weight. And it makes me appreciate. It does make me appreciate life a lot more, and it also makes me understand that we are a bit on the fragile side of things. So, so
Wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful. So, talking about the fragile side of things, you call yourself dyslexic Saul. Where did this name come from? How did this come about?
Um, I don't even remember exactly, but I just remember I remember just randomly thinking up names as a rapper, because I knew Saul Auerbach, while it could work as a comedian back in my days when I started doing comedy, I knew I would need something else to work as a rapper. And initially I thought of the name dyslexic. And I mentioned that to I mentioned that idea to a comedian whose podcast I was on at the time. Um, his name is James Mattern, actually, a very good comedian, and I was on his podcast and he recommended Dyslexic Saul, and that name stuck with me ever since as a rapper. I really liked it, and I feel it just is I feel it's just I don't know, I feel the name just sticks real well, and it wasn't like any specific reason for it. I mean, it also I kind of do base I jokingly say I'm dyslexic even though I was never really diagnosed with it because of the way I type and the way I often skip things, and even though I'm sure there's that's something that might be something totally different than dyslexia. I just it's more like a humorous thing, you know,
Yeah.
than
Good, good. So I think today's a good day to get to know who is dyslexic Saul. Where did he come from? Where did he grow up? And what does he believe? What does he want to share with the world? And with the time that we have, the limited time that we have on this planet, please go
Well,
forth.
I'm Saul Auerbach. I grew up in Brooklyn, born and raised in Brooklyn. I live now in Far Rockaway. And, what do I like to share with the world? I like to share humor, inspirational music. I also like to, share my joy for my sobriety. There was a point where I even ran a charity where I would help people stop smoking, drinking, and drugs. But unfortunately, I can't run that anymore because I was going through some personal stuff when I had to stop the charity, and I ran out of money for it. But I still occasionally, when people ask for help, and tips on, going about, let's say somebody wants to go sober or clean or wants to quit smoking, I often I do what I can to help them out, usually without charging anything. And even
Pro
though I don't
bono.
yeah, even though I don't have the books to give out anymore, like I used to, but I still do what I can to help them pro bono, no charge, because I've been there. I know what it's like, and it's so I just do what I can to help people with that. And I also, again, as I also love comedy, music, and spreading laughter and music and inspiration world, that's that should sum it up for the most part.
Yeah, Saul, I'm very impressed with you. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for
You're
having me.
you're you're a comedian. Thank you. You're a great comedian, and you're somebody very special. You help save lives. You help save people's lives through sobriety,
Yeah,
through mentorship, through fellowship,
yeah,
things like that. Things that are very important in our day and age that need to be kind of brought to the forefront. That recovery is not a one person thing. I mean, it's rare you'll find someone who doesn't need any help of any kind. Nobody's an island, and I personally think therapy is a good thing if you need it, and
absolutely.
and to know when you need it.
Yeah, and I go for therapy, once a week, and I'm a firm believer that not only everybody could needs it. I think the stigma of having to that comes along with therapy, is a bad one. It should cease to exist. There should be no just like nobody would feel bad going to a foot doctor. If they have a foot problem, nobody should feel bad going to therapy if they have, emotional or mental problems. I go for them. I go for therapy all the time, and some people will look at my jokes and be like, yeah, it doesn't sound like your therapy is working, but it definitely is though. It's doing pretty good. It's helping me a lot. Even I even know every therapist I've ever seen says that they go see a therapist themselves, once in a while to help them deal with, the people that they help.
Right, supervision,
Yeah,
as they call it.
yeah,
So I just want to say, mental health is a big thing. For a long time, me personally, um, went through some stuff myself,
yeah,
came out the other side with the use of psychedelics,
right.
saved my life. So,
Uh-huh.
there are many angels in my life. I think Saul, you must be an angel. And I
Oh,
maybe some of us maybe we can all be angels or demons or all these things. We have the possibility to be in
yeah,
this prism, in
yeah,
this vessel, right?
yeah.
So, these are all sorts of, weird questions and stuff like that. But what I really want to get into is your life philosophy. I really want to hear about that.
Sure. I mean, I mean, as you mentioned psychedelics. Now, I personally don't use drugs, and that, and I don't believe in recreational use of drugs. But for if any drug has medical purposes, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with that, and I would hope that the government eventually would get on board, and and the medical world would get on board and start. Allowing the medical forms of different types of drugs, even hard ones, if they can be used for medical perspectives.
Hmm.
But all in all, my philosophy in life, is to enjoy life as much as possible. To try to avoid any, at least alcohol, cigarettes, or any non-medical drugs. And to learn how to enjoy life without those. I mean, as you said, you're taking it for medical purposes, so that's obviously an exception. But I'm just
Spiritual.
saying, yeah, right. So my theory, my philosophy in life is generally to enjoy life as much as possible. To save money as much as possible. Try not to, I'm not perfect with that, but I try to, not spend.
Not be a spendthrift.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like I actually, yeah. I mean, a lot of people would be surprised. I'm sitting in my room right now, and I live in one room. But people are like, how do you only live in one room? I'm like, well, it's $80 a week. I can't refuse that offer of rent. That is. So
Wow. Good for
yeah,
you.
yeah. So
Very
when
good.
what's the average New Yorker paying, like $2,000-3,000 a month for rent? And it's like 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, not even. I'm like, I'll save the money. you
Yeah.
know but I also believe, I believe that we as a society can, while we can't fully fix our own problems, like I don't believe, I'm not like on the total conservative side where like we have total control over our situations and we can be wealthy if we want. I'm also not on the total far left side of, where often people think that all their problems is societal and they have no control over it. We don't have all control over our problems, but we have a lot of control over our problems and and fixing them. And people just have to want to, take the right steps to fix whatever problems it is they have. you know uh,
Yeah. Through therapy or other
Therapy,
means, right? Other
therapy, and
legal means.
if people give you advice on how to save money, and I would, I would strongly consider, looking into that, especially if, for people who don't have much money. you know I often give people advice on how to save money, and a lot of people just like to get defensive, and they like to take it personal. They're like, oh, like, why would you tell me not to buy this? Why would you tell
Don't
me not?
tell me how to spend my money.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a whole, it's a whole thing. There's a whole lot of other, I mean, obviously I can't give my entire philosophy in a small amount of time we have, but
Right.
it's a large part of it.
Okay, well, we get the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, Cliff Notes version, right?
Yeah. Good. Well, we're gonna go to commercial break.
Yeah,
We're gonna be right back with more Saul Auerbach. We love you.
sure. Yep.
Let's see if we go to commercial break.
Yeah.
And if we don't go to commercial break, we're gonna talk about we are in the month of March.
Yes.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello, welcome back to the show, Today's America. We are here today with Saul Auerbach, comedian, funeral worker, rapper extraordinaire. Welcome back to the show. Everybody out there in TV land, thank you for watching. Saul,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, this month is March. March 9th is today. We're
Yeah.
getting close to the would you say high holidays, or what kind of
I would say more like the drunk holidays, because I'm sure there's some people who get high on Purim, but the Jewish Halloween, but it's more like a drunk holiday, you know.
understood.
Yeah, no, I don't drink, but I still celebrate it, and I have a pretty darn good time celebrating it, even though I don't drink, and it's definitely an amazing holiday. Like, I've done all sorts of fun things for Purim. Like, I've shaved half my head for Purim and half my beard, and I've had porcupine haircuts, and I've written, crazy things on my forehead,
Yeah, I didn't know it was Perm. I reached out to you because I thought you were having some sort of emotional breakdown and that you needed help.
No. Oh, no. I'm doing just fine. I did have my emotional breakdowns about, in 2017 and 16 and a little bit of 2018 when I was doing bad, but I'm thankfully doing much better now.
God
Now
bless.
nowadays most of what you see, the craziness on my social media page or elsewhere is more comedical, and it's more for fun,
Because I
you know.
worry about you, I worry. I don't do the social media so much anymore. And anybody who's watching this, I also advise you to deactivate the metaverse from your phone and from your life. If you have a laptop or something, then you could do the metaverse from there. But keep it at arm's length.
Yeah,
Don't let it ruin your life. Don't let it run your life, just like cigarettes or alcohol or any kind of addictive substance that
right,
can be abused.
right,
Thank
right.
you.
Yes. Yes. So I I definitely understand that. Like, social media can be, very addictive and whatnot,
And
especially when you're on
toxic, very
it.
toxic. It
Yeah.
makes people to be how they don't want to be. During the Trump era, everybody was acting like Trump, including myself, and I can't
Yeah.
stand myself for that. Okay?
Well, yeah. Yeah. He was a little bit on he was a little on the crazy side now,
A little megalomania every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, even though I often repeat that that I'm not really too fond of, there's not many politicians who I really am too fond of, because as an independent and whatnot. I know a lot of people have heard me say that many times, but yeah, he did have his social media things and his social media meltdowns, if that was him who ran his own Twitter, that is, I'm guessing it
Hmm.
probably was,
But
but
I mean, why would they let somebody just sit on the toilet and just type a bunch of crap? Because it's just like, this is the crappiest thing we've ever seen. The likes we've never seen.
yeah,
The crappiest likes we've never, it's terrible. And thank goodness we thought it was over, but now, this Mar-a-Lago guy is advising, it's his whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that because we have to stand with our brothers and sisters
Ukraine.
in the EU. EU, step up your game. Step it up,
Yeah.
EU.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We also have to stand up with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine as well. And what's interesting about the whole Ukraine situation is that it's very unique because like in the past 20 years, our views on war seems to have changed immensely because let's say in 2003 example when we went into invade Iraq, anyone who would oppose that war would be called some uber liberal far left nutcase, while today even the most conservative people ever when are really don't want to see any more war. Nobody, like maybe a handful of people, were saying we should go to war with Russia and whatnot. And I was super conservative back in the day myself. Now I'm independent. And 2000, but even as by 2008, when I was still in my super conservative phase, I was no fan of the war in Iraq. And when Russia attacked Georgia at the time, when Saakashvili, I think, was the president there, I was like, no, I really don't want to go into this, because it's just, I was just tired of war and all that. But at the same time, I do have to say though that of all the wars, we fought after World War II, most of those wars, including Iraq, Afghanistan, and probably every other one except for maybe no, not Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam, and whatnot. The only war that I would say would be an exception to what I'm about to say is maybe Afghanistan, and that is that most of those wars would probably have made less sense than if we were to go and attack Russia over Ukraine, because Russia actually, is committing atrocities there, and it's just now it also begs the big question: when is the right time to go to war? When isn't the right time to go to war? And it's a very hard one to answer. Like for example, like we all know that Iraq and Afghanistan, not Afghanistan, Iraq more or less than Vietnam were absolutely unjustified wars. We should never have been there. But at the same time, there's the other extreme. In the 1940s, when we fought World War II with Hitler, not only were we absolutely right for going into that war, but we should have gone in a lot sooner. So it begs a very difficult question: when is the proper time to go to war, and when should we attack or defend other countries? And it's a really hard one to think about, and a hard one to even remotely come up with an answer for.
Right.
Yeah.
Very difficult to wrap your head around that kind of thing. The common person is now faced with these questions as well, because they're either going to become a pacifist like myself, like us, or they're gonna, they go for their ARs,
Right. And it's and yeah, and
which is disgusting in my opinion. It makes me barf. Thank you.
Right, but at the same time, we need to figure it out. Like is the right time, if ever, to go to war, and I mean, and when do we do sanctions? Will sanctions work? Will they not? We know in the 1940s, a million sanctions in the world wouldn't have stopped Hitler, and I think they even did a lot of them. But at the same time, will it stop Putin? Will it not? It's hard to really know. It's really hard to know these things, and honestly, I don't even know. I'd be shocked if anyone, could honestly say they really have an answer to that.
Right. Well, we're gonna go to another commercial break before we finish the show.
Sure.
And we're gonna be right back with some more Saul Auerbach. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back to Today's America. We are here today with a very special guest, a very funny man, a very good man, a mensch, we would say. Saul Auerbach. Dyslexic Saul sometimes. Welcome back to the show, Saul.
Thank you, Todd. It's amazing to be with you again. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit, if we could tell the audience about your career, what you've done musically and things like that, and then we'll get back to
Well, what
current
I've done
events.
musically, I have 6 very amazing songs out on YouTube. My channel is called Dyslexic Saul Music. Dyslexic, three separate words. My YouTube channel, Dyslexic Saul Music. You're all invited to subscribe. If you get a chance, I'd appreciate that. I have 6 very amazing songs. A couple party songs, a couple of songs about spreading love, not hate. A song about, I did a remix to a famous person's song. His name is Michael Brzezinski. He's very famous in the Orthodox Jewish world. I did a song. I did a remix to his song about never giving up. I have a party song called "Make Some Noise," a very emotional 9/11 tribute song. A song about gang violence. A song about putting an end to it, not promoting it, like some other rap songs do. But at the same time, I also have that song called, I have a song called "I'm Giving Back." That's very powerful and emotional. I'm working on a bunch of other songs. I've written many more. I just, have to put together the time and the money to, to get it done. As a comedian, I won the Jewish Week newspaper's annual funniest Jewish comedians contest in 2021, and they have it every year in June. And I've been a contestant 3 times. I was a finalist all 3 times, but lost the first 2 times. And apparently there wasn't much competition in the third one because I won. So, but it's
Third time's the charm.
Third time's a charm, right? Or in or back in my back in Hebrew school, they would call it hazaka. Third time. I don't know if anyone watching this is familiar with that, but it's just a cute way of saying the number 3.
Yeah.
Triple.
Yeah. I remember from Hebrew school they used to say "shake it, shake it," which for
I've
people that
heard
don't
that
know
one a few
means
times.
shut up. And
I've
so they're
heard that.
telling the small child to shut up, probably the week after the father died. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
it's okay to be emotionally unstable if someone dies. Is that correct, sir?
yeah, it is definitely okay to be emotionally unstable if someone dies. We work with that in our funeral homes all the time. We have to understand and accept that people are going to be emotionally unstable. There's times we've had to delay services by a few minutes because somebody from the family was very emotional and was
Distraught,
trying
very
to.
distraught.
Yeah, there were times, and there was a times where we had to, that people were having, panic attacks or maybe even some sort of, physical problems that we had to bring them to, call 911, bring them to hospital. Now, people would say it's kind of ironic. You're calling 911 when you're at a funeral home because if they pass away, you make more business. But at the same time, we do have a conscience as well, so
Yeah.
we don't, we ain't gonna kill nobody,
Right. And I guess the point is, when you go to a funeral home, It's for me, it's horrifying. I don't like going to funerals, and
Yeah.
especially if it's open casket, I don't wanna touch the body. I don't wanna be near it. I can feel the cold radiating off of the body. That horrifies me,
Well,
and
yeah.
I don't want when I went when I was 12 years old at my father's funeral. Now we're really going back, okay? This
I'm
was
sorry.
this was I think it was, like, December 24th, 25th,
Hmm.
1991, so this was a Christmas, and we also celebrated Christmas too.
Yeah.
So, we weren't really, whatever, doesn't matter. Point of the
Yeah.
story is this: we celebrate everything. We love everybody. We're for
Right.
everybody. But that
Absolutely.
day, let me tell you something. Funerals are a real, you know,
Painful.
not a nice thing. And to have
Yeah.
someone like Saul Auerbach helping you through the most difficult time. We're talking about bereavement here. We're talking about grief. How to
Yeah.
get through it, Saul. Help us, please, because we're
How to
losing a
get
lot of
through.
lives now. We got a
Well,
it's a
how to
stupid
get
war
through
going
grief?
on.
I mean, it's very hard. I mean, if somebody needs a therapist or a psychologist, they should have no problem seeing them. And yeah, people should allow themselves to grieve and feel the pain when they lose somebody. Because it's not one of those things that you can actually. It's not one of those things that you can squash or subside. It's losing somebody is a real loss. It's not one of those things you can just suck up or get over. You need to give yourself the time to grieve and to let the pain, take its time. Usually, usually, eventually, it subsides a bit, and people, get used to the fact that special someone is not there, and the shock goes away. The pain itself, is going to be always there a little bit when you lose somebody, but you have to allow yourself to feel the pain, you know, because many times people will try to squash their pain or try to let the pain subside when they go through some terrible stuff. But something like death, you got to allow yourself to go through the pain in order to eventually be able to get to let it take its course in order to eventually get to the healing process. We'll definitely people should see therapists and psychologists if they feel they need to.
That's
You
the
know,
best method because anybody, especially if you lose a dear loved one, someone very close,
yeah,
that can create PTSD in a person.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
modalities that we have today for PTSD are
yeah.
not good enough. And I'm going to say
Right,
this to the audience if you're listening. The modalities that we have in America right now for PTSD are not working for us. Okay?
right.
For people in the mental health community, PTSD, veterans, people coming back from war, people who've been traumatized, children, rape victims, sexual abuse victims,
Yeah,
trauma victims of every kind. There's
yeah,
nothing for us here in America, okay? In
yeah,
Germany, they have better things. So why not go live in Germany? Because there's a war going on in Eastern Europe, and I don't want to live there right now. So thank you very much. And thank you for your concern. And thanks for buying me a ticket while you're
yes,
at
no,
it.
I
Thanks for your miles. Yeah, I need your miles, right? People giving away their miles. I really I mean they
yeah,
better do it for a good reason. Otherwise it's just
yeah,
selfish. These
I
people with their
definitely
miles,
understand.
these one percenters, we really need to
Yeah,
tell them something. We need to tell them something. And if they don't listen, well, they're going to listen real soon when the sanctions are crushing them by the
yeah,
proverbial, mm,
yeah.
scrotes.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no, I definitely understand and agree with most of that. The thing is though, with PTSD, it's a hard thing to treat. But in general, as I was trying, I was getting to this what's it called about a couple weeks ago with Noor and you on the other show about and that is that. But unfortunately, we ran out of time. But that is that I know feel one thing I know real well is when it comes to medical conditions, the government and much of the mainstream medical world are very far behind, and they often get caught. Let's just say, with if I can say, with their pants down, part of the
Because it's embarrassing. It's shameless and
yeah,
embarrassing.
it's very embarrassing. Like when I had my misophonia, a few years ago, the government and the medical world knew nothing about it, knew nothing of how to treat it. Then and they literally like just were clueless about it, and it
Totally
was with
clueless.
other things I've had too, right? And
Sorry.
and it's just with other things I've had too in the past. You know, they're often very clueless about it, and it's just they often lag behind, and they take their time in learning how to deal and how to work with these medical situations that they're very clueless about, which is why I wasn't very particularly surprised about COVID and how that went down, because the government got caught with
With their pants down.
they got caught with their pants down in no man's land, and they literally just didn't know what to do. And the only reason they even took it seriously enough to eventually do something was because of the high quantity of people that were suffering from it. If this was something that only like 1 million people or a few 100,000 people or a few thousand people were suffering from, they wouldn't even done anything like they are with some of the medical conditions I suffered from for a while.
Right.
And so and and it's crazy how they
I think we as Jewish people or human beings, we
right.
should reach out to if we are able to speak to the 1%, let us
Yeah.
I'm not saying kick them in the shins. Yes, they deserve a good kick in the shins. They need it. They need it. But I'm not advising violence towards anybody. What I
Right.
am saying though is that these 1%ers, maybe they don't think it affects them, Maybe that's the
Right.
problem with privilege, is that they get a little too lazy, a little too complacent, and then from the complacency is the complicit behavior in criminal acts. Thank you.
Right. Very often, people. Well, now I've also dealt with many. I've dealt with wealthy people because I collected charity for a while for myself and for the charity I ran. And it is a big problem amongst, whether it's the government or wealthy people, that they don't really understand a problem until it affects them somehow. Like for a while, like the mental disability wasn't seen as a very important thing, and helping people with mental disabilities where it was not a very considered very important thing. And then suddenly one day, some very wealthy person had a kid who was mentally disabled, and now suddenly they're pouring millions of dollars into something they should have poured money into a long time ago. I mean, better late than never, but unfortunately, it's a big problem. People don't understand,
Unless it
that
happens to them,
happens. Yeah,
And then you have these guys, these I guess Wall Street guys, or these really smug guys that put
yeah.
up the price of pharmaceutical medications, whatever, 700%, because they think it's funny.
Now, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, and they try to sell it for like whatever, millions upon millions of dollars they
And
can
they think
make.
this is funny. They think this is funny. So while the common person and the middle class and also lower class is suffering, and the lower class is growing and growing and growing because of all these inequalities, and now this war in Ukraine that Russia has perpetuated,
Yeah,
and it's a horror that now we are all faced at the pumps in our lives, when we go to the grocery store, when we
yeah.
buy our wheat.
Yes. And I was considering boycotting Russia too, but I'm sober, so there's not much I could buy from there anyway. But
Understood. Right. No
yeah,
vodka. No
yeah,
vodka. Thanks.
but
No
yeah,
vodka. Hashtag no
no vodka,
vodka.
no vodka, no vodka. Yeah, but yeah, and
Vodka's
also
a poison. Do you ever see how people act when they're on vodka? Have you ever seen how people act on vodka, Saul? It's
yes, yes,
ridiculous. It's
yes,
shameful.
plenty of
Remember
times.
Boris Yeltsin? Remember that guy?
Yeah, yeah,
That was
he
embarrassing too, wasn't it?
I don't remember much of him. I knew he was around before Putin in the
Right, right, right.
'90s.
So they had someone really embarrassing, so that's why they had to have Mr. KGB, who was supposed to be trusted. Well,
Yeah,
what you're supposed to do with the sickest person is you're supposed to thank them.
right.
Even if they did the most disgusting act, you're supposed to say, "Oh, thank you for that. Oh, thank you. Thank you."
Well,
Yes, maybe it's turning the other cheek, but also through that we get the change, because what they're looking for is gratitude. They're stuck in the Soviet era. They're nostalgic. They're sad. They're drinking vodka. Too much
right.
vodka.
Oh, too
Vodka.
much.
Too
Yeah, way,
much.
way
Too
too much.
much.
Yeah,
Too much.
yeah.
So
Vodka's
cut down
like
on the
so.
vodka. If anybody in Russia is watching this, cut down on the vodka and look what's really going on outside of your front doors. And the Soviet era, well, if you want it, you can keep it. We say in our faith, we say you can keep it, right? Geh
Right.
gesund,
Yeah, but
right?
I don't think too many Russians really want to, where anybody over there wants the Soviet era, and
You
probably
sure?
most
You sure? Because Kremlin says, oh, we're going to live in the Soviet era. And Mr. Lavrov, who looks like the bad guy in the movie Bad Taste. If you look at
yeah,
the front cover of the movie Bad Taste from the director of the New Zealand, Lord of the Rings, everybody knows him from Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson made a film called Bad Taste. The aliens in the movie try to take over the planet. It's disgusting. Don't watch it.
yeah.
But look at the VHS cover. It looks just like the foreign minister of Rusland.
Russia, well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I know quite a few Russian people, and well, most of them do live here, but so that already assumes that they weren't big fans of that country because they moved out of there. But for the most part, they would all pretty much think, Putin's having a really bad vodka hangover. Nobody really. I haven't met. I've met maybe two people in my life who've ever said they liked Putin. And
I
I
think he's
met
having
one
a
of the
prednisone, this steroid that they take, if they have allergies, especially if the methane gases are being melted from the tundra, everybody's
yeah,
getting sick and they have to probably have more kinds of things to treat them. So it's not a
yeah,
good geographic location. And if you know anything about real estate, location, location, location. Thank you.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know much about real estate, but because all I have is this little tiny room that I'm in, I'm hunkered down in my little protective basement, but so but yeah, location is a big thing with all that. But again, it's just a whole mess over there, with Russia and how I don't even think, and how probably
And
most
Belarus, I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess what's
yeah,
going on. They
Belarus. I
want to
don't know
take
why they're
back
going.
Ukraine. They think it's theirs. They're
Yeah,
they're sad. When people are sad and melancholy, you can't really reason with them very well. So
right,
they need antidepressants, which don't work, and then they
right.
need stabilizers that are going to make them fat and have moon face like Putin has, right? So who
Or
knows what's going on there?
yeah, or they really need to do what they really need to do is just learn how to chill out. I mean, Putin definitely needs a therapist. Why Belarus is just going along with Russia like they're their daddy. I don't know why, but
Right, right.
Russia needs some help. But
Yeah, yeah.
and,
They all need help.
yeah. Yeah, it's just it's outright nutso over there. I was in Ukraine in 2007 for the Rosh Hashanah holiday in a city called Uman, and I worry what it's like for the locals I met there because most of them were pretty nice and
Hmm.
the vast I got warned that there's a lot of people there who are anti-Semites. Well, they have that everywhere, and they definitely had some over there, but for the most part, those people were seemingly regular, normal people. And I felt I feel bad thinking about what their situation might be now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
only if there was a way I can go back and help them now without risking my own life, I may, I may consider it. I just don't have the money to do it right now. You know,
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I feel like it would be the civic duty of all of us to do something, if not say something. Because look, we to talk about the rise of anti-Semitism and right-wing hate crimes throughout Europe and things like that throughout the Trump era, especially, right?
yeah,
So why was that the biggest era that these people were being empowered so much? And now he's
mm,
bosom buddies with Putin. So like that's treason. Anyway, the point of the story is,
yeah,
what I want to say is, for all the Nazis that there are in the world, there's also a lot of really cool people, a lot of
yeah,
really cool people in Russia and Belarus, and they don't want to go along with this Putin regime or this Kremlin, BS. So, it's like nobody wants it really. There's just a lot of sad people that want to live in the Soviet era, and then there are a whole bunch of progressive people that don't want it. So, Russia's also a very divided country as well, not just the US. Now, the US is more united than ever against Putin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you know, sorry, but sorry,
Yeah.
sorry for
Sorry
that
for the
little
yawn.
yawn. No, no, I didn't. I have a problem. I tend to yawn a lot. It's not any personal thing. It's not like me being tired or bored or anything. I just apologize for that. But
Sure.
also, you mentioned before, this for every Nazi, there's also a lot of good people out there. There's a saying in, the rapper Will Smith had a song about 9/11, and where he listed where parts of his song he listed about a whole slew of tragedies that were happening in the world, and that he was like, why? But then again, towards the end of the song, he said, but sometimes you gotta see the bright side. Sometimes, sometimes the goodness, we try to hide, but then and then he turns to his kid and says, "You be the one, make him believe in God. You be the
You
great
gotta
one."
tell your kids, pass it on to your kids. You say,
Now, the song,
teach
the verse,
faith.
yeah, the verse is a little lengthy, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing now. Plus,
Sure.
I don't have my rap voice on me today. I didn't drink nearly enough water, or Russian vodka. No, I'm kidding. But
No, don't drink Russian vodka. Don't drink
I know.
vodka,
Oh heck no!
period.
Oh heck no! I don't touch
No
alcohol.
vodka. If you're watching this, listen to me. If you're watching this right now, don't drink vodka.
Yeah,
Legalize cannabis, legalize marijuana, because marijuana is so much healthier and better for
yeah,
you than alcohol. Alcohol will ruin your life.
yes,
Listen, I'm gonna take my glasses off and say this.
sure,
Listen. Alcohol will ruin your life. If
yeah,
you're drinking alcohol, if you think it's gonna help your problems, if you think it's gonna help your PTSD, guess what? It's not. Because
it's
you
not
might drink and then you'll get into a fight, or you'll go on social media and it will be a horror.
a
Thank you.
horror story. Yeah,
Horror story. So I
yeah,
want you to know that marijuana, cannabis, is actually much better for certain people, certain
right,
strains, the right strain for the right person.
yeah,
Cannabis may not be for everybody, but I'm going to tell you it's far better than
better than
alcohol,
alcohol. Yeah,
better than vodka, okay? Drink your
yeah,
vodka in the sad Soviet period.
yeah,
We're in 2022. This is March 9th, and I thank you, and God bless you. Stay safe, be
yeah.
peaceful. Saul, what do you want to say to the people as we close?
We should work on being a better society as a whole, and but well, not just being a better society, but like we should work on focusing on the good in society, seeing the good in people, seeing the fun in life, seeing the comedy in things, seeing the humor in things, and enjoying great music, and and having great times, in a healthy and sober way, or with cannabis if that's what you need. But at least the stuff that you get, legally, not from the streets. But
Right.
and we really, and the world needs to really chill out a bit. Let's just say, instead of going to war over things, and we really need to bring out more. We need to now. We are bringing out the humanity side because a lot of people are showing their love these days, but we need to do a little more. We need to take it to the next level with that.
That's right. That's right. And I only have the EU flag here, but I include Ukraine in the EU, and we need to
Yes.
include Ukraine in the EU. That's why I show this flag today and every day that there's something horrible going on in Eastern Europe. Thank you.
Yeah.
God bless,
Thank
and
you.
have a peaceful, wonderful tomorrow.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me on. Take
Thank
care.
you, Sal. Peace.
Thanks.
Thank you, Newer.